Today, I want to talk to you guys about a guitar player that I look up to and why I think they're successful.
This is way more important in rock music than this.
In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Adam Darski, or Nergal, from Behemoth. Why did I pick this guitar player, and why should you care about him? As of shooting this video, Adam Darski's net worth is estimated at $13 million. That's $13 million. There's just not a lot of extreme metal musicians that have that kind of net worth. And while I know some of you out there might be thinking, money isn't everything, it's about the music, I think that his net worth is a result of his success not only as a musician, but also as an entrepreneur. So let's look at a few of these different things and see if we can figure out what exactly the different components are that make up his success. First of all, let's talk about Behemoth. Behemoth started in 1991 as more of a black metal band that sounded like this. And then in 1999 started incorporating more death metal elements and formulating the sound that we're more familiar with hearing from Behemoth today. Then in 2009 they had a breakout with Evangelion, which had global success. Now before that, I was always aware of Behemoth, but I thought of them as more of like an extreme metal underground sort of band. And their release before Evangelion, The Apostasy, did peak at number 24 on the Billboard charts, but Evangelion peaked at number 5, and then their follow-up releases, The Satanist, and most recently, I Love You at Your Darkest, both peaked at number 4 on the Billboard charts. So if we're looking at Billboard charts as an indicator of success, you could say that Evangelion was the one that broke them through and got them into the top 10 on the Billboard charts. Why do I bring this up? Well, it's because the band was formed 18 years before Evangelion was released. 18 years, think about that. And not only that, but they changed their sound 8 years in. That is a long time to be grinding it out as a band, and I think it just goes to show Nergal's dedication to his craft and also to his goals.
I've always been wondering, you have this one life, okay? It's very precious. And you spend your time on writing shit on the internet. I mean, that's stupid.
And then in 2010, they were nominated and won a Frederick Award for Evangelion. And that's something that they would go to repeat in 2014 with The Satanist. And if you're not familiar with the Frederick Award, it's a Polish music award. It's sort of similar to the Grammy in the United States. Behemoth in and of itself is also essentially a merchandise business. If you haven't been, I suggest going and checking out their website. You can buy all sorts of different things from like cargo shorts to figurines to traditional merch like t-shirts and records. And I really think that that speaks to their ability to learn merchandising far beyond what most bands do. You know, most bands just throw t-shirts up on their website and that's all they ever do. But if you look at Behemoth, they are merchandising all sorts of different things. And again, back to that mindset and setting goals, if you want to achieve that level of success, you really have to think outside the box. So maybe it's time for your band to start branding cargo shorts and selling them on your website. In 2010, Adam was rushed to a hospital with an unknown illness, which turned out to be leukemia. He was able to overcome the illness with the help of a bone marrow transplant in 2011. Why do I bring this up and why do I think it's relevant to success? Well, if any of you have any family or you ever gone through any disease like this yourself, you know how devastating it can be. I mean, even people that come out the other end of an illness like this, a lot of the times live diminished lives where they don't have the full capabilities that they used to have, or they don't get to enjoy the things that they used to enjoy before they got sick. But that's not the case with Nergal at all. If anything, you could say that he started going at his goals even harder than he was before.
It's might sound controversial, but I would say that everyone should get cancer one day.
Okay, that's controversial.
And learn from it, you know what I mean? So, obviously I don't want anyone to get, deadly sick. It's more or less a metaphor for people to realize how much potential they can unleash.
Not only that, but since his illness, he's been an advocate for taking care of yourself by eating better and doing yoga.
So it's not like the cancer made me do all of this, I was already on that path, but cancer somehow pushed me even harder in that direction,
And the ability to pivot and make lifestyle changes like that is something that I really admire, and I think it's a skill that more people should get comfortable with if they want to be successful. Another thing that I think Adam has used not only to make himself but Behemoth successful is he's a master of public relations.
Some really smart guy said that if you cannot impress people, confuse them.
Currently, his Instagram sits at around 414,000 followers, which is quite a few followers. I mean, it might not be as much as Donald Trump, but it's a lot. And there are a couple things that really stick out in my mind that I think reaffirm this point. Number one, he's really good at using Satanism to troll people. If any of you remember, there was an incident last year where he got kicked out of a gym for wearing satanic clothing.
Guess what happened? Guess what happened?
What?
So, this is YMCA, right?
Right.
They saw my Darkthorn shirt, this shirt, and then asked us, do you worship our Lord Jesus Christ? And we don't.
Okay.
Because we come from Poland and we worship Odin. You know, we have just different gods.
Right,
you know?
right.
Do you worship Jesus Christ?
I do.
I don't.
But
And
that's
they-
your
yeah, and we worship Odin, and they wouldn't let us work out at YMCA here in Princess.
And then later he admitted he made the whole thing up as sort of a ploy to gain media attention for their new release that was coming out later that year. And whether you agree with that tactic or not, that sort of stuff really does work and it does get media attention. Another incident I can think of with him using his public relations skills was back in 2018. He was accused of Nazi ties after some photos of him and a guy named Rob Darski from Graveland circulated. For those of you who are unaware, Graveland is sort of considered this national socialist black metal band. And so when this photo started circulating, Metal Sucks wrote an article about Nergal's ties to national socialist black metal. Apparently, the way the story goes is Metal Sucks reached out to Adam and asked him if he wanted to give his explanation on the photos, and instead of replying through Metal Sucks, you know, the media outlet that was writing this hit piece on him in the first place, he took to his own social media to explain the situation, and I think a lot of people really respected that and got behind him, and they didn't fall for the clickbait controversy that Metal Sucks was trying to stir up. The reason that I think that this is really important is we live in this age where information is spread incredibly quickly, and people are also very quick to be offended. And by addressing the allegations immediately and debunking them on his own platform, he really showed that he understands how public relations work, and on a deeper level, probably how human psychology works as well. Adam was also a coach on the TV show The Voice of Poland, which is sort of like the Polish equivalent of American Idol or, you know, America's Got Talent or one of those sort of shows. Adam was a judge on that show and coached one of the contestants who went on to win the show. Now, there's some controversy about him being on the show with all of his satanic exploits in his band Behemoth, one of the most notable being ripping up a Bible on stage.
You know what? I don't give a fuck. Because I don't buy this pile of shit. Fuck this hypocrisy. Fuck the Savior. Fuck Jesus Christ. Burn it!
Now, if you're in the United States like I am, this kind of stuff seems like, so what? What's the big deal? Well, in Poland, there's still religious laws that not only can cause you to have to pay huge fines and penalties, but also land you in jail, like ripping up a Bible. And as of shooting this video right now, Nergal is actually in court defending himself on another blasphemy case. Nergal was interviewed by a DJ named Radioactive Mike on the situation, and here's what he had to say about it. I got super confused and angry because I was one of the judges, but they'd go, this guy is a Satanist, and we're so Catholic and proper, he's not allowed to be here. But the contract was already signed, so they couldn't kick me out of the TV show. They decided to keep me, and I won with my contestant, Damien UK. We won The Voice, which is awesome. I would ask him to sing all these rock and heavy metal songs, which was a good change for TV. Not some cheesy pop songs, but Metallica, Nirvana, Steppenwolf, Maiden. Good stuff, quality stuff. So I'm happy, it was a good experience. Then I got the check, which I really needed because that's why I did that. I kept in mind, hey, you're doing this for money, but don't forget the rock and roll. So I did rock and roll, and then I was like, okay, bye, that's it. I think you can tell from that interview what I'm talking about when I say determination and goal setting. I mean, this is like showing up to work every day with a boss that hates you and wants to get you fired, but you're just showing up because you know you want to get the check and you don't really care what they think. And I think not only that, but the court cases say a lot to Adam's mental perseverance to be able to push through these things because he, has the bigger goal or the bigger picture in mind.
I regret nothing, obviously, considering the fact that I had to fucking battling in the court for 6 years, eventually winning the case. Yes.
Like I mentioned before with Behemoth, not only do they have charting albums and they've won awards, they have a worldwide presence and play huge festivals all over the world, but they also have a huge online presence as an e-commerce company. Before I ever made a single YouTube video, I was working in e-commerce and operations, and just from looking at their website and how many products they have, I can tell you, they're a big e-commerce company. Not only that, but if you follow the Behemoth web store on Instagram, you'll know that they had to move warehouses recently because they ran out of space for all of this merchandise, meaning that they're not drop shipping these items, they're actually fulfilling these orders from their own warehouse. That's intense. How many bands do you know that fulfill their own merchandise from their own warehouse? Maybe Metallica. But my point being is that's the level their e-commerce game is at, and I can recognize that from working in the e-commerce industry for so long. He's also the co-owner of 6 barbershops and a nightclub.
The ex-owner and myself, a couple of years ago, we just came with this idea to start barbershop. She brought this idea to me, and I started like investigating on barbershops, and I immediately I fell in love with this whole culture.
Think about that for a second. You're flying all over the world, touring with your band, playing festivals, all the stuff that goes into being in a successful band. On top of all that, not only do you co-own 6 barbershops, but also a nightclub. That's a lot of businesses to run. And if I had to guess, Adam's probably not only very good at putting people around him that can advise him on all of these business matters, but also that he can delegate to. And back to the success thing, if you want to have success on that level, that's a skill that you have to have. I mean, Henry Ford wasn't in the factory making cars, he was focused on expanding his business, and the way he was able to do that was surround himself with advisors and people that he could delegate to.
Yes, indeed. If a young man makes up his mind to work, there's no limit to what he can do.
Add to that list his other musical project, Me and That Man, which is more of like a folksy blues sort of band.
You were fooled by your own fantasies and she kicked you in the balls.
And the fact that he scored and starred in a movie called Ambasada, you just kind of start to ask yourself, where does this guy have all the time to do these things? I obviously don't know Adam personally, but I am just gathering from the interviews that I've seen with him and sort of like the success trail that we're following. He's probably very good at managing his time, and not only that, but like cutting out things that don't really yield any return in creative results. A good example for all of you that are watching, that are bedroom producers and that sort of thing, is how much time are you spending dialing in tones or playing around with plugins versus actually creating music? Time yourself sometime and be really ruthless and honest with it, and then just see how much time you're actually wasting on things that aren't yielding you results. This is something that I live by, and it's been really personally helpful for me in eliminating time wasting habits that I have, like tone questing for hours and hours and hours on end. You know who you are.
Opinions are like assholes, right? Everyone has his own.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you found some insight in it. The point of me making this video wasn't just to talk about how much I love Behemoth and Nergal as a guitar player, but more to shed some light on the things that I think are possible and to hopefully gain some insight into the mindset of someone who's really successful. A few things here before I sign off. I want to thank all of my patrons. Thank you so much. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me on Patreon, there's a link to that in the description below. Also, if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps get it out to other people who might enjoy it as well. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of my future uploads, and I'll see you next time. Bye.